Welcome to the DaVinci Resolve Podcast here, where I take your questions and answer them in a podcast format. You guys ask questions all the time on my YouTube channel, and I try my best to get back to everybody as easy or as quick as I can, I should say. And sometimes some explanations might need a little bit more explaining, if you will, than, I can provide in a comment. So DaVinci Resolve Podcast here, we answer your questions. If you have a question you want it on the podcast, be sure to mention that in your comment on YouTube. But I do try and answer all your guys' questions the best that I can and, put it in the podcast here or, maybe even make a video about it if it seems like a lot of people are having issues. So, grab your coffee here. Cheers. And let's get into this DaVinci Resolve podcast. So going through, let's start with our first question here. And actually, before we even get into that, I know it's been a little bit since my last podcast episode, but we do have version 19 is out. If you haven't gotten it yet, definitely check that out and go get it. We also have a few updates to DaVinci Resolve 19 already. So we're on 19.0.3. So make sure you're up to date with that. If you're having any issues, get up to date because maybe that'll fix some problems that you may be having. So with that said, let's just get into the first question here. So the first one is from someone named Daniel on the channel. It says, Jason, 2 questions. I'm switching from Avid and FCP, Final Cut Pro, to DaVinci Resolve Studio. I want to only have the DaVinci Resolve Studio program on my hard drive and all else. For example, cache, renders, autosave on a portable drive. How do you set this up? And how do you have a video link explaining the setup? Also, how do you change a timeline sequence from drop frame to non-drop frame or in reverse? All right, so let's just get into the issue or the question of how do I have Studio on my machine, but not all that extra stuff, right? Because I don't want to clog up my internal hard drive. Now, this is something that I've been doing for a little while, or actually pretty much since I started Resolve. Not a little while, pretty much since I started Resolve. So when you install DaVinci Resolve, it's going to install directly on your hard drive unless you choose another location. So that should be all set up. Now let's just jump into DaVinci Resolve here, and I'm going to show you where you can set the location for those different items. So if we come into our project settings, so the little gear icon at the bottom of the screen here, we can go to our master settings. We can scroll down and we've got working folders. So you can set the location for these different things. Now the cache file location is where your cache files are going to go, right? You got your proxy generation location and stills. So that's where those are going to go. You can select wherever you want to put them. I keep them on an external hard drive. I actually have a DaVinci Resolve working folder. Let me just bring it up if you're watching the podcast here. I'll show you where that is at. So I have a Resolve Cache, Capture, and Backup folder. So I got all my cache files here, which I routinely delete and get rid of just to clean out the drive here. I have a folder for capture files where I've recorded directly into DaVinci Resolve. And then I have project backups here where I back up both the database and individual projects. So all that is on an external drive, so that way I don't clog up the internal drive on my Mac. So for your proxy file or your cache files and proxy files, you could do it right here in the working folders. Now, if you want to tell Resolve where to save your backups and stuff, I'm going to cancel that. We're going to go to DaVinci Resolve Preferences. And in Preferences, you want to go to the User section. We have Project, Load, and Save. And right here is your backup location. You can select wherever you want your backups to go. You can select that. And like I just showed you, mine go to an external hard drive because I don't want all that stuff clogging up my hard drive. The cache files can get, huge. You can have a huge directory. The first time I cleaned mine out, it was like almost 100 gig. I think it was like 85 gigs or something. And I know people have had way more than that. So you want to make sure that stuff's on an external SSD. That way you don't got to worry about things getting clogged up on your main hard drive. So that's where you would set those 2 things. And I think that answers both of the questions. Let's see, or where to put cache, renders, autosave. Yeah, so that's exactly how you do that. Now with the renders, I'm assuming you mean the cache files, but obviously if you're going to render it from the deliver page, you're just going to choose wherever you want it to go once it renders. So I gotta have some coffee, man. This is maybe my 3rd cup of coffee today, but it is the afternoon, so it's all right. It's all good. All right, let's move on to the next question here. The next question is on a video. Normalize audio on the deliver page, which is the little check mark that allows us to normalize our audio as we export out to give us proper loudness levels and stuff. It says, I'll just put it to 1 dB or minus 1 dB peak from now on. There's no need to make it more fancy. Different platforms can readjust as they like anyway. And that is true. So just real quick, looking in Resolve here, if we jump over to the deliver page and we come into the audio section of a custom export, it's in some of the other presets there too. But under audio normalization, you can turn this on and say, I'm doing YouTube. So I can select YouTube. And it's going to set your target loudness to minus 14 and your target level here, minus 1 dB. Now, you could use that. And I think the best case scenario to use that is if you only have one track, right? If you just have a talking head, boom, go ahead and use that. That's fine. But if you are... have multiple tracks, different sound effects. You really want to do it manually. It's not that hard. It's pretty quick. Actually, just put a video out about it. And the project we're looking at here in Resolve is that project on how to set your loudness for YouTube and why your video might be a little bit quieter than everybody else's video you're watching on YouTube. You're like, hey, what's up with that? What's up with that is that your loudness is not properly set to be maximized for YouTube. So the normalization that you could do at the end there is essentially setting your loudness level to the allowable limit that YouTube allows. But I would do it manually because as everything gets combined, you're measuring your loudness, right? Which is all of your audio together measured, at the end of the process on your main bus out. So you're measuring everything as a whole. So if you've got multiple tracks, you don't want to just set all of them to minus 1 dB or boost your main bus up to minus 1 dB. That's really not the way you want to do it. You could if in a pinch, and especially if you only have one track, then it would be fine. But if you have multiple tracks, you really want to go through that process manually. But the option's there. You can use it if you want to. But check out my video on loudness. Hopefully that'll help show you the process there, or will show you the process. It's pretty easy. It doesn't take that long. And I do that on every single video that I do. It's really a fairly quick process at the end of your video editing or audio editing process. So the next one we have on 5 tips in DaVinci Resolve you should know. Jason, thanks for all your great video. I have a question regarding Fairlight. When I use effects like the dialogue processor, how do I make changes after closing that window? All right, so if you add an effect onto a particular clip or onto the track, there's a few different ways that you can open it up. So in Fairlight here, if we have on, let's say this track right here, we have the dialogue processor. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that on. If I can find it here, dialogue processor. Where are you? On channel level, dialogue processor. So you have this, you set it the way that you want it. I close it down and I need to open it back up. I can just come right into my mixer here in Fairlight. If you don't see your mixer, click on that. And then I can select this middle part of the icon right there. And it's going to open the effect back up for me. Now, there are other ways that you can open it up. If I have my track selected here and I have my inspector open and I come into the effects section and I scroll down a little bit here to get to that particular effect, which is the last one, dialogue processor. We see it right here in the inspector. You can click on this little icon right here and it's going to pop the effect back out for you. Now, once you've applied it on a track level, either here in Fairlight or in the edit page, you can also, in the edit page, select your track, right, by clicking on the track, open the inspector, go to effects, and you can come all the way down. Dialogue processor, which I just closed, is right here. And again, you have that same icon. You can click on that, and that's going to open your effects back up and allow you to make any changes that you might want. Getting another sip of coffee here because I love me some coffee. So the next one is on a video, stuck in Resolve project management folder. Says, this was driving me crazy. I was looking for a backup arrow. Thank you. So what we're talking about here is if you're in a project, right, and you have a folder. So I've got some folders here. Let's go up to ResolveCon 2024, right? I go in the folder, double click, I get in there, and I'm like, where's my back button? How do I get out of here? And I thought the same thing for a while. I was like, what is going on here? Why can't I get out of the folder? Well, all you have to do is click up here on the breadcrumb trail, as I learned it was called. And that's going to bump you back up a level in your folder structure there. So even if you're down a couple levels, if I come into my clients folder, for example, and I'm, a couple levels down, I can just click each section here in the breadcrumb trail or each name or whatever it's called. And then it'll bring you back up a level. So that was confusing. Took me a while to figure that one out back in the day. But yeah, that's how you kind of get back up in the project manager, and allows you to use folders and just get more organized with all your projects. Next comment had on the DaVinci Resolve Podcast, episode 9, from Jer. Jay, good questions, even better answers in this episode. Thank you. 7 episodes a year might be about right for you. A summertime cut back family guy, a ResolveCon contributor, and a YouTube content provider. 12 months goes by very fast every year, doesn't it? 1 episode a month would be enjoyable. I think that's a great idea. I really got to get into doing it more. I love sitting here just chatting with you guys, sharing, answers to questions and stuff. I do enjoy it. It's just sometimes it slips my mind, which is why I go so far in between podcasts. I got to take a memo from Alex and Casey there. Those guys are putting out ones fairly often, and they got great stuff, man. Great stuff. But this is fun. So yeah, I'm going to try and do that one a month, and just try and get one out a month, and then we'll start there and see what happens. But it's fun, it's enjoyable. But he's right, 12 months, man, goes by so fast. Trying to create content, I feel like I'm fumbling a lot, with my content and where I want to go and what I want to do, because there's just not enough time in the day, as a solo creator here to make the things I want to make, test out the gear I want to test out, try different things in Resolve. Like, it's a lot. It's a little overwhelming. I got to be honest. I think most of the time it's just because I put too much pressure on myself. So, but anyway, thanks for the support there, Jer, on the DaVinci Resolve podcast. All right, the next one is on a music production in DaVinci Resolve 18. Yes, you can mix music start to finish in Resolve, even record right into Resolve. I've got a whole little series on it. It's really cool. I just wanted to try it out, and it is possible. So let's see. This guy says, bro, you're either a magician or a miracle worker, but I literally started searching for content around Resolve and music production a week ago, and you've read my mind with this title. So yeah, I mean, Resolve is just so expansive in as far as what it can do, not only videos and, for YouTube, films, but you can mix music in here. You don't need another program, and you can use the free version. Like, most of the time, you don't even need more than the free version, especially to mix music and stuff. So if you're ever looking to just record a podcast, music, a guitar, you singing on a guitar, whatever, it doesn't even matter. Use Resolve to do it. It can 100% do it. I've tried it out. I've put it through its paces. I've recorded 32 multi-tracks at a time into Resolve. It works. It's good. So, yeah, if you ever need to do it, definitely give Resolve a try. And bonus, is free if you need the free version, if you don't have Studio. Use the free version. It's going to work and get the job done for you. And another question in the along the same lines is the music production and video production, like recording into DaVinci Resolve. So this subscriber says, I have an off-topic question. Can you record a video directly into DaVinci Resolve? And if so, that could be an awesome in conjunction with multi-track audio. Thanks again for sharing. I'm interested in the mixing process. Can I send my multi-track recordings from my Rodecaster into Fairlight and mix from there? So yeah, you should probably be able to send in your multi-tracks from your Rode Podcaster. I don't see why not. Or Rodecaster Pro. Sure, I don't see why you couldn't do that. And yes, I do believe you can record directly into DaVinci Resolve, but you need, I don't know if it's some of the Blackmagic hardware to do it. Like, I don't think it's just plug in, your camera to your computer with a, HDMI or something like that. I don't think that works. I think you need another converter or something. I don't know. I haven't done it, but I'm pretty sure you can do it because there's options for it and where you want to save your stuff and what format to record the video and all that. So pretty sure you can do that. Although I haven't tried it because I think you do need some extra hardware there. So yeah, I think it's possible. Recording voiceovers in DaVinci Resolve, big thing. Love recording right in Resolve. It's so convenient. And the comment is, also make sure you have your capture folder set up properly or it won't record anything. Project settings, capture and playback, capture, save clips too. I had mine set to a different folder as the default location, and the default location does nothing for some reason. So the default location is going to be wherever your cache files are. So that's where a default recording or voiceover or, microphone any recording right into Resolve, it's going to default to your cache file location. But if you wanted to set that where you want it to go, let's say you're going to record, in DaVinci Resolve. Let me show you how you can do that. You would create your new project. You would go to Project Settings, bringing up Project Settings here. Then you would want to go to Capture and Playback. And right here, you can see Video Format, Capture, Video and Audio. That's why I know it can capture video. But where I want to save it to, right here, Save Clips to. And generally, I'm going to change that to go to the folder that I set up for that particular project that I'm recording for. So you want to update that. Otherwise, it's going to go to your cache location. I actually have mine set to a different spot where it's going to my capture folder, where I keep all my cache, capture, and backups. So you want to set that right there, and then just go ahead and hit save, and you're good to go. Once you start recording, it'll put the file in that location. And bonus tip, if you name the track something, your recorded file is going to have the same name as the track, which makes it really handy instead of some weird unknown name that you don't know what it means. So yeah, so VoiceOvers in Resolve works great. Just make sure you set that path on where you want it to save. Getting another sip of coffee here. Comment is on how to sync audio and video clips in DaVinci Resolve 17 fast. And that's the same for 18 and 19. So comment is awesome. And how do you work with multi-camera and multi-channel audio? I usually have 3 cameras and a Soundwave multi-channel audio with 3 microphones and a total of 4 tracks. But when I create the multicam, it's not easy to change audio channels in the timeline. I have to use a workaround. I have to use a workaround and use multicam to edit video and then copy audio channels from my timeline, but sync could be compromised. Yeah, so with that in mind, when you edit multicam footage, you actually don't have to change only video angles. You can also change the audio angles. So let me find a multicam project here so I can open that up and show you exactly what this is going to look like. So when you're working with multicam video, you're going to see the multicam window here, right? You want to make sure you've got your multicam selected. And when you go to select an angle, just going to change to my multicam view here, you're going to see these 3 icons right here, right? Now, this isn't multicam right down in my timeline, which is why we don't see our windows up here. But you've got the option to bring in or make a cut on only the video, on the video and the audio only. So you're going to use those 3 options to make the kind of cuts that you want. Now, if your different cameras have that specific audio going to it, and that's what you want the audio to be, you would use the option in the middle here, the video and audio cut. So that way, when you cut the multicam clip, you're going to get the proper video. Now, inside the multicam clip, if you were to open that up, so if I bring in this multicam clip down in my timeline here, zoom in on it a little bit. Let's say if I right-click and I said open in timeline, you want to make sure that you've got the right audio channel associated with the correct video track. So that way, when you make your angle cuts, everything is where it's supposed to be. You've got your correct audio for that particular angle. But that's kind of how you would want to, work with that and make your cuts when it comes to multicam. You can work inside the multicam easily and change audio around, move it, put one audio track that you want for the entire video. You can, change audio tracks as you make cuts. Basically, I think you should be able to do what you want to do based on your comment here using those 3 options in the multicam viewer there as you're making your cuts. So hopefully that helps for you. Comment on transitions not working in DaVinci Resolve 16, 17, 18, and now 19 too. It's all the same thing. 3 years later, and this video still does the trick for me. Now I'm more careful with my cuts and splices to make sure I leave plenty of space at the end of each clip to avoid this. Now, what this is talking about is you need to have a little bit of handles, right, on the end or beginning of your clips in order to drop a transition on there. So you can't just be at the very end of a clip or the very beginning of a clip. It's not going to let you drop a transition on. Although most of the time, I don't think you shouldn't be making, a transition like right at the beginning of a clip when you start recording. So just keep that in mind. Record and what do you need, a second maybe of space before you're making your cuts and stuff if you want to throw a transition on there. So you need some handles. Just keep that in mind. Comment on don't lose everything in DaVinci Resolve, how to back up your projects, database, etc. Says, thank you for the video, but I'm doing a database backup. Will it also back up the Powerbins in the settings, preferences, and saved LUTs in Fusion? Now, when you back up your database, as far as I know, it's only all the projects, right? If you wanted to back up your Powerbins, for example, if we look in Resolve here, I've got tons of Powerbins. I could just select it, right-click and say export bin, and that's going to export out a file where it'll save all my bins for me, so I can always just bring those back in. For your preferences, if we come to our preference window here, open that up, you actually do have an option to click on the 3 dots and save user user preferences as a preset. You can save that, so that way you've always got them. They should be there. Then you can just go grab these where they are in your file directory if you want. And then as far as like stills or power grades, let's see, I don't know if you can, you can export out the stills, right? You can do that, select them all, or let's see, is there a quick shortcut here? I'm not seeing it. Let's see, reset nodes grade. Stills. All right, well, you can just select all of them and just export them out, and then you've got them. So that's kind of how I would back those up. I don't think that's not all included in the database backup as far as I know. I could be totally wrong on that too, but I think that's how it works. All right, here's a good question from Harold. He says, it's on an audio sync hack video, how to sync your audio manually. It says, hello, I have a job later today. The video with the scratch audio is already on the timeline. I cut it up, I edited it, and I have received a finished audio wave file that I need to resync with the video file that's already in the timeline. If I sync the clips in the media page with the finished audio after the existing edit, will the timeline be updated? If not, what technique would you suggest? Thanks for anything you can share. So what I would do, and let me just jump out of this project and into another project here. And I do this on actually every YouTube video because I record my audio separately, I export it out, and then I sync that up with the camera that I'm filming with now. And when I do that, I can sync up my good audio with my good video. So I would sync that up, but when I import all my cuts here, because I use another program called Recut to cut out all the silences for me, what I have to do is come into my timeline. So you could sync it up. Let me make this a little simpler. I feel like I'm babbling a little. All right. I would sync up your good audio in your media pool. So I'd select the video, wherever that's at. I would select my good audio, right click, auto sync audio, sync those up. It's not going to update in your timeline for you. So what you need to do is come into your timeline. You're going to select all those clips. Then I'm going to right click. I'm going to come to clip attributes. In clip attributes, I can come to the audio section, and then you're going to want to change the source channel. So it's going to say embedded 1 and embedded 2. So I'm going to change it to linked channel 1 and linked channel 2. So that's how you're going to change everything in the timeline to be the good audio versus the original audio. You don't have to recut or anything like that. You could just say, okay, change it and use that audio as your source. You're good to go. Next question we have here on DaVinci Resolve 18, how to zoom in and out. I was wondering about the difference between inserting keyframes versus using the dynamic zoom function. Are they different, or is one method superior to the other? And lastly, is there a reason to apply any of those edits directly to a clip, or should we always use adjustment layers? So the first part of the question, keyframes versus dynamic zoom. So dynamic zoom is going to take your whole clip, and it's wide or tight, depends on how you set it, but start at a particular spot and then zoom in for the entire length of the clip, or zoom out for the entire length of the clip. It doesn't stop, it just keeps going. So that's what dynamic zoom is going to do. With keyframes, you can have that zoom last as long as you want. So keyframes are going to give you a little bit more flexibility than dynamic zoom, but if you want something quick, the dynamic zoom does work good. You can just make a cut on either side of where you want that, zoom in or zoom out to happen, and then, just apply the dynamic zoom to that particular clip. But if you want more, creative freedom there to change it and do whatever you want with it, keyframes are going to be the better way to go. And as far as the adjustment clips, you could use adjustment clips, or you could do it right on the clip. It really kind of doesn't matter. Just keep in mind, if you use an adjustment clip and you've got multiple video tracks below it, that adjustment clip is going to affect everything below it. I'm hoping that Blackmagic comes up with something where you can make that adjustment layer affect only the track right below it. That would be sweet. Come on, Blackmagic, what you got for me? Next question on a video called Blown Recording Levels in DaVinci Resolve. Here's how to fix it. Thanks. Please do one on too low of volume too. So if your volume is too low, you're going to want to try and set your levels properly. Like I've shown in a bunch of my videos, or a lot of my videos. Set those dialogue levels minus 10 dB if you can. If you can't get it that high, you can always add on effect, because a lot of the effects have a gain knob in them, so you can boost up the gain a little bit. You can also use things like the EQ. That's got a gain slider in it, so you can boost up your levels a little bit. You can also use the dynamics and apply a little bit of compression, and then use the makeup slider to make all those quiet parts a little bit louder while the compressor will prevent those louder parts, if there are any, from getting too loud while you're trying to boost everything up. So those are kind of the ways I would go about working with audio that's too quiet. Here's a comment on 3 tips to remove audio background noise. Hopefully, I can remove background music. And you actually can. The voice isolation takes background music right out of there. So if I had music playing right now and I turn that on, it'll completely get rid of the music. I've tested it, and it works awesome. I mean, voice isolation is pretty much the best noise reduction tool that you can get, and it's built into Resolve. So if you don't have Studio, that's a good reason to get it. It's very versatile to either remove everything background noise wise, or just lower it down a little bit and let your vocals or your dialogue shine through. So voice isolation, man, get Studio. Next question I have from a viewer is on 2 videos. It's actually the same kind of question here. It's on a Loudness video, which I just put a new video out, but this question's on the old one that I had done. And then also Levels video. It says, how much loudness is needed for film theater release and also Netflix? So let's just do Netflix here real quick because that's easy. So if we jump into Resolve and then we jump over into Fairlight, we can come up to our loudness area up here and we can come down to Netflix. Boom, there we go. And it looks like if I scroll down here, let me see what they set it at. Minus 27. So in this case, this video that I have now, it's actually set up to be, whoops, I jumped out of Fairlight there. It's actually set up to be louder because it's for YouTube, which is minus 14. But let's just reset this and start and see.
You ever wonder why your videos aren't as...
And see where it's at. So we can see, because I mastered it for YouTube, we are way too high there, right? For something like Netflix, you'd have to bring that volume way down. Not a problem. Totally doable. But in this case, it's too loud. So minus 27 dB there looks like what the Netflix LUFS standard is, or loudness level standard is, for DaVinci Resolve. And when it comes to setting your loudness level for a film release, I believe it's like minus 27 to minus 31. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't done any theatrical releases myself, but I would check with wherever you're going to release it. I'm sure they have standards and things that you need to meet, and levels you need to be under for your loudness and stuff. So you would definitely want to check that out. But it's somewhere around there, minus 27, which is the same for Netflix, or minus 31, somewhere around there. Just a few more comments we want to cover over here. One was just on an updated 2024 how to export markers video, and this was great. I was like, oh, hey, this is a great idea. So I showed how you can use a formula to get the time code set up right and properly for YouTube, so you can just copy and paste it into YouTube. But this commenter said, instead of fiddling around with Excel, just paste the CSV into ChatGPT and ask it to create YouTube chapters for you with the format of 00:00. Solid video. Keep it up. What a great idea. I mean, dude, might as well use some ChatGPT. That's fantastic. I'm going to try that the next time I need to make some chapters, because that's way easier. Each time I always got to look up the formula because I don't remember what it is. And, it takes time. So if ChatGPT can help me out with that, that would be pretty sweet. Another question on a video I just put out recently about loudness and getting your videos to be loud enough on YouTube. Maybe your videos are a little too quiet, and in that video I show you how to set your loudness properly, which is different than setting your normal, dialogue and music levels and all that. Loudness is done at the end of the audio editing process. But the comment is this done exclusively in post, or are there any steps during production that we can take to achieve a particular loudness level? So this is done in post. When you're recording, you want to make sure you're recording good levels on your device, whether it's your camera or external recording device, whatever it is. Record at proper audio levels. It's going to depend. You want to, I say, record anywhere between minus 12 and minus 18 dB, somewhere in that range. Once you bring it into Resolve, for dialogue, for example, bring it up to minus 10 dB. And then once your minus 10 dB is set, you want to check the loudness for all of your audio, right? The loudness measures all of your audio as a whole, your music, sound effects, everything combined as it's done, as it's going out of your project. So that's what loudness is going to measure. But you're only going to be doing that in post. You're not going to be looking for loudness while you're recording. So just something to keep in mind there. A little post that I made, by the way, do you know I've got a lot of freebies on my Shopify? I'll leave a link down in the description below. You can check that out. Got some freebies of footage and some different things there that you can check out. I do have a couple things you can purchase if you're interested, but jump on the freebies. I feel like I don't really talk about it much, but there's freebies over there, so go have at it and download them if you want some footage. I got some Blackmagic RAW footage over there you can play with. Just wanted to make you guys aware of that. Here's another good comment I got recently on a gyro stabilization video that I did. So it's using the gyro stabilization if you record with a Blackmagic camera. Right here, in DaVinci Resolve, you could get to it right in the inspector, right in the edit page. But the comment was, can you batch stabilize multiple videos, perhaps put the gyro flow effect in an adjustment layer? I don't know about an adjustment layer, but you can select multiple clips right there in the edit page and then just stabilize all of them at once. And that's a newer feature. I don't know if that came out in 19 or maybe that was out in 18.6, maybe? I don't know. Either way, you can select multiple clips and stabilize them, all at once. So that's pretty handy and just kind of save you some time. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time for Resolve to go through it all, but at least you can just select all of them and do it in one shot. Here's just a fun comment I got on the DeEsser and DeHummer audio effects video. If you don't know, I made videos about every audio effect in Resolve. Got a whole series on that if you want to check it out. But anyway, on that one, the commenter was, faux shizzle. I first thought, Snoop Dogg, faux shizzle. So, just thought I'd throw that one in there. That's a fun one. Next comment here, full screen or full width timeline in DaVinci Resolve 17. Same for 18, same for 19. But the question was how to see the timeline full screen like in Premiere Pro. If you're working on a single monitor, I don't think you can see it full screen. I mean, the best you can do looking in Resolve here is just pull this one up right here, the middle bar. You can move some of these items around. You can close down some things. But that's going to be as big as you can get it, right? I don't think you can make it any bigger than that. You can't pop it out. I don't know if you have multiple monitors, if you can put it over there. So it actually looks like if you go to Workspace, Dual Screen, you can do a full screen timeline. So I'm going to actually put that as a note back to this, the commenter here, because I forgot to put that in there. A comment on an easy fusion particle explosion video that I made, how to make a cool little explosion with particles. It says, Jason, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. You're awesome. Oh, thanks, man. I don't think so. But hey, I'd love to know how you made that crazy displacement transition you did at 16 seconds. So really, that's just a built-in transition that's new in DaVinci Resolve 19. Taking a look in Resolve here, let me show you exactly where that's at. So if I open up my effects library, transitions, and come down, it's called Disarrange. And you can see on the screen there, see a little disarrange. Whoops, kind of spins around, stretches out. It's pretty cool. I know when I saw that at first, I was like, yo, that's pretty cool. Check that out. I like it. So just a built-in effect here in DaVinci Resolve. They're always adding stuff, so make sure you poke around and look for some of that cool stuff. We do our best to, let everybody know about it. I feel like I might have made a video about that. I don't know. I'm going to have to check. And if I didn't, maybe make a video about that. I'm actually going to write that down here. New transitions in DaVinci Resolve 19. And let's see a comment here on a video I did, save hours in DaVinci Resolve 19 with these 11 automatic features. Now, the features that I talked about in that video, most of them have been in Resolve for a while. They're just, different automatic features that you may not have known about, which is why I made the video about it. But I did misspeak in there. There was a part where I said if you drag over your video files into a brand new project that doesn't have anything in it yet, if the frame rate is different than the project's current settings, DaVinci Resolve will pop up a little message and it'll automatically tell you to update or ask you if you want to update the project frame rate settings. And I had said that it did the resolution as well, but that's not true. If you have, for example, a 4K clip, but your DaVinci Resolve, your project is set up in 1080, and you drag that clip over, it'll set the frame rate, but it won't change the resolution. If that existing project is, say, 1080, for example, it won't change it to a 4K project in the project settings, but it will update the frame rate. So that's my bad. Hey, we all make mistakes, right? So just may want to clarify that in that video on saving hours with these 11 automatic features in DaVinci Resolve. So as we wrap up the podcast here, a big shout out to everybody who dropped a comment for me on a community post that I put out where I said, currently, what is your biggest struggle in DaVinci Resolve? I want to help you out. And about 70 of you had responded and left comments about different things that you need help with, things you have questions on, things you're struggling with. And it's a great way that I can, see where you guys are at, what kind of problems that you're having, and how I can kind of help meet you where you're at with some of those problems. Because chances are, if you have that problem, somebody else also has that problem. So big thank you to everybody who commented there. I'm going to be sifting through that and using that list of questions as a source for videos that I'm going to make here, as we move forward and stuff. And if you have other questions, drop it on, drop the comment on this video, drop it somewhere. And, I'm always trying to help you guys out as much as I can. And if I don't know the answer, I'm willing to go learn the answer or ask some of my Resolve creator friends, or even reach out to Blackmagic and say, hey, what's the deal with this? How does that work? Or how do I do this? How do I do that? So, it's, always looking for stuff that you guys want to know and, pain points to meet you guys where you're at so we can help solve problems and just help you guys get off to editing your videos better, easier, quicker, all that kind of stuff. Because I'm in the same boat as you guys. I want to do the same thing. Let's make some awesome videos. Let's make them quick and let's make them great, right? When it comes to audio, video, anything. So, all right, guys. Well, that wraps up this podcast, this episode of the DaVinci Resolve Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope some of the answers to these questions were helpful for you guys. Again, any questions you have, drop it on my channel somewhere. I'm always just kind of rounding up some comments and sticking them in a folder so that I can get to making a podcast here. And I got to do a better job at getting the podcast out because I like doing it. It's fun. It's good to answer your questions. You guys find it helpful. And so I got to get on this a little bit more here, but sometimes I just overthink stuff. You know what I mean? Like all this YouTube stuff, I just overthink, Instead of just hitting record, I think about it too much, But anyway, with that said, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you either in the next video or on the next DaVinci Resolve podcast. See ya. Peace.